What's up, everybody? It's B Doll again, and welcome to my TNA Bound for Glory review. TNA's biggest show of the year, a stat card. So let's get right into it. Boston, Massachusetts, or Lowell, Massachusetts, at the Songa Center. But before we actually start off with the main card, let's at least talk a little bit about the pre-show first. It's not much I'm going to spend too much time on. I know they had the TNA Hall of Fame induction ceremony where Mickie James and the beautiful people were inducted. I will say this: they both deserve to go into TNA Hall of Fame. Mickie James, obviously, but let's start with the beautiful people's induction. I know they had Tracy Brooks out there to induct them. If it's one thing at least I could say about the beautiful people, they were, I would say, a big part of the Knockouts division within TNA, especially in its first incarnation with both Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. Q-Kip, Billy Gunn at the time, too. I know it's been, like, somewhat different variations of the group throughout the years, whether it be Madison Rayne being involved in it or Lacey Von Erich. It basically started with both, like I said, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. Both of them multiple time Knockouts champions and Knockouts tag team champions also. The whole putting the bag over the paper head, not the bag over the paper head, but putting the bag over somebody's head, or Taz's most infamous line or famous line, if you want to go from there, let the pigeons loose every time they did their entrance. That was always a great thing to see for obvious reasons. But putting them in the Hall of Fame, this good. Like, they were a very big part of TNA's history. I believe they had some of the highest rated segments within the show's history, given that when they were on Spike TV and everything. So I think it's a well deserved induction, especially just from the gimmick standpoint of the group, and I would say a vital part of TNA. And I know they've had feuds with multiple other people throughout the years. If I could remember, whether it be a Gail Kim or Awesome Kong, or I think Taylor Wilde, also Tara. They feuded with a lot of people throughout the years, whether it be singular or individual or within each other and stuff. So I'm not gonna go into too much of their history than what I know. Like I said, they went up there, they did their speech, basically thanking everybody that has ever been involved in TNA and the Knockouts division. Even Angelina Love naming all of the participants that were in the first ever Knockouts Battle Royal 2007, when the Knockouts Championship was created, when the division was created and whatnot. So I thought that was pretty cool to see. But like I said, they thanked everybody throughout the years, and they basically got like some Hall of Fame plaques, because I know they had like Tommy Dreamer, Jazz, and the TNA president out there. I think his name is Carlos Silva. We'll get into him later on, but like I said, I thought it was it's a pretty good speech and well deserved. Even they all chanted "Let the pigeons loose." They wanted everybody to yell that. I don't know, Gabby La Pisa, I believe. Basically, she was like the host of it. The next one was Mickie James. I know they had a video package for her. Tara or Victoria, came in to induct her. Hardcore Country. Like I said, Mickie James has very strong history within TNA. I kind of forget she was in TNA in 2003 as Alexis Lurie, but nobody really knew who Mickie James was, obviously, until WWE when she came in. The most runs I can remember from Mickie James within TNA, obviously, when she came to the company in 2010, Hardcore Country and whatnot. It wasn't the crazy Mickie James like everybody knows in WWE. It was a different Mickie James. And like I said, multiple time Knockouts champion, even, from a few years ago in the whole last rodeo thing. And we can go through a lot of opponents for her, whether it be Tara herself or Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, Deonna Purrazzo, Tasha Steeles, Trinity. It's a lot of opponents we can talk about with Mickie James throughout the entire her history within TNA and stuff. So I think it's been, like I said, she's had a lot of great matches on here. Well deserved also. I'm sure a lot of people gonna say like, yeah, put it in WWE Hall of Fame, which yes, she does deserve to go on that too. But it is still cool to see her going into the TNA Hall of Fame. Also, like I said, I'm not gonna try to go through like every moment and match, but she was definitely a vital part to the division. Even from a few years ago, she was a vital part. The last time I actually think she wrestled on TNA, I think when I was there at Bound for Glory. 2023. Yeah, I think that was the last time she had wrestled on, and it was against Trinity for the Knockouts Championship. And yeah, that was kind of like the last time I remember really seeing her on TNA at the time was Bound for Glory. So it was good to see her back at Bound for Glory again, being put into the Hall of Fame. And she did a speech, basically, explaining Hardcore Country and how the song was made, and just talk about her opponents. She's even coming back testing herself against, which some of them I've named also, like I said, like Atash Steele, Perazo, Jordan Grace, and others. Basically, I'm trying to see what else she had said. Just kind of taking the most important parts out there. But yeah, basically just taking her family and everybody, the crowd and stuff. So she got her plaque also. And basically that ended her speech. So, like I said, I thought the whole Hall of Fame induction part was pretty good. Like I said, I think Mickey James and the Beautiful People deserve it. So, I think it was some good picks. They did at least have one pre-show match, even though I felt like it only went on for 5 minutes. I don't even know why they even had a pre-show match, given they had the whole Hall of Fame induction ceremony take up most of the hour. But it was the Inspiration versus the Elegance brand. It was a rematch for the Knockouts tag titles. I don't have much to say other than I think it was M by Elegance. I swear, I think when the Inspiration were going for their finisher, they almost kind of dropped her on her head backwards, but I think she recovered and then they still hit the finish and won. So I don't have much to say about that other than just the Inspiration retained the tag titles. So really not much from there. But let's get into the main part of the show for Bound for Glory. Which they started off with the national anthem playing and some Marine color guards out there, which basically transitioned into Steve Maclin's entrance, given he is a former Marine, which they kicked it off with Frankie Kazarian versus Steve Maclin for the TNA International Championship. I thought it was a solid match to kick off the show. I know they had Kazarian kind of throw Maclin around outside and then taunting his mom out there, which she kind of got up and just kind of gave him the double bird salute. And then ended up slapping him in the hand, which Maclin ended up in a dive from to the outside of the ring, charging at him and stuff. Like I said, throughout the match, Maclin basically just going after Kazarian. Kazarian ended up doing a damn a Pele kick and Angel's wings. Obviously AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, which even commentary had said it's a lot of people doing tributes right now over the weekend. I'm sure everybody knows what happened with AJ Styles and Cena, but I'll say that for another time. But like I said, he did that. He went for the Fade to Black move, but Maclin ended up cutting him off, shoving him to the mat then. He ended up doing his running headbutt thing after that. Right after Maclin put him into the trio Woden, and then he the big spear, upside down, and then Maclin ended up hitting the KOA for the wins, the whole double arm DDT thing, KIA or not KOA, KIA again. Next thing you know, they had the president hand them the championship, which I feel I'm gonna have to say a lot about him throughout the show, and we'll get into it later on, but. Maclin getting the title back, I'm not too mad at it. Like I said, it was a solid match. I was surprised to see Kazarian lose this title so fast, given he won it 2-3 weeks ago at Victory Road. It really wasn't that long ago. So, I don't know. They're trying to make this championship important, but I feel like they really could have ran a little bit more with Kazarian. But we're going to get more into Kazarian later on throughout the night for this show. Next match on the show was Tessa Blanchard versus Gia Miller. Basically, the story behind this is that Tessa has been going around messing with Gia Miller, and basically she's an announcer. She'll never be anything else. She's not a wrestler and everything. I know she kind of beat her back up at Slammiversary, I think it was, when they did an interview thing, and then Tessa was written off, so she hadn't been on TV in almost a couple months now, honestly, until recent times. I will say this from the crowd. I was actually surprised they did not chant "she's a racist" out there. Listen, this is Gia Miller's first match within the company. I know they had Jody Threat out there with her. I don't really have a lot to say about this. I'm not sure if the crowd was really behind Gia Miller like that, because I don't think, really kind of with the underdog, especially going against Tessa, which, obviously, she's the big heel and everything. And they really tried to, do something out there with this, with Miller, trying to come back at Tessa. I know Victoria Crawford got involved, and then Jody Threat did a big dive to the outside. Then I know what was it? I think Tessa had Gia at the corner, then started throwing punches at her, and then she removed the turnbuckle pad then, and Miller she's about to power bomb her or something, but Tessa ended up hitting her with a roll of quarters then, which she took from her dad Tully Blanchard from years ago. So yeah, Tessa had to cheat basically to beat Gia Miller. So after hitting her with a roll of quarters and stuff, so Obviously, this is gonna continue. I'm not really gonna say the crowd kind of cared that much. I'm not even too surprised Tessa won here. So I didn't really see her losing, but I feel like they're gonna still continue this story somehow wherever it goes. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. Next was the Call Your Shot Gauntlet Battle Royale, which honestly we've seen this many times before. Whoever wins this whole Battle Royale will get any type of title shot in TNA for whatever title that is around right now. So basically, men and women can be involved. You know, you never know you're gonna get any surprises and whatnot. Even though I feel like it's gonna get weird, so let's just get right into it. So the first two people to start off was Lei Ying Lee and Mara Sade. Number 3 was Ryan Nemeth, which he tried to kind of go against both women, but they ended up almost throwing him out. Nick Nemeth was number 4, who got a pretty good pop and was really cheered out here. And I know Mara Sade ended up hitting with like a super kick then. They tried to eliminate Nemeth, but his brother saved him. Number 5 was Cedric Alexander. Number 6 was Rich Swann. I swear I hadn't seen him on TV in a minute ever since he came back here. Back with, you know, the whole first class thing. But 7 right after was AJ Francis then, who ended up eliminating both Marshade and Lei Ying Lee. Swann hopped up to him to celebrate, but then AJ ended up, choke slamming him and throwing him out of the ring then. Number 8 was Travis Williams of the former, whatever Eric Young's group was called. I don't even remember what these guys are called at the Armory and whatnot, but it was basically the ball one that came up, like they flipped the coin, so he got to be in the match. Number 9 was BDE. Let me just say this real quick. I have seen him before. I don't know much about him other than he's on YouTube, so I know TNA have been kind of promoting this, but I don't got really a lot of knowledge on him. But he wasn't bad out there. Like I said, the guy has a YouTube show, so I know I've seen him, but I just don't really. I haven't seen that much of him, okay? But it's not like I haven't heard about him, because I'm sure everybody's just gonna wonder, like, so what dude from YouTube they let on here this time? So I'm sure a lot of people thinking that, because a lot of people gonna wonder who BDE is. But it looked like some people knew. Like I said, I know he ended up skinning the cat, hitting like a cutter onto Francis, and then like Nick Nemeth ended up super kicking in. Number 10 was the Rascals, which all the Rascals could get in the match. So they entered as one number, basically. So, yeah, all 3, Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, and Myron Reed, all 3 of them basically count as one number. And all 3 of them, and BDE, ended up doing like a 4-man super kick to eliminate AJ Francis then. Number 11 was Danny Luna, who just started throwing like multiple German suplexes into the ring then. They did that. Number 12 was Eric Young. Eric Young, I know he ended up doing like a pile driver onto Travis Williams before throwing him out of the ring and eliminating him. 13 was Jake something, which I know he helped Danny Luna like power bomb, like what was it like power bomb both like Trey Miguel and Myron Reed, and then like somebody caught him. I tried to remember what it was, but like Eric Young ended up hitting BDE with like a punch, eliminating him from the match. 14 was Rosemary, which while she was coming to the ring, I know Cedric Alexander and Trey Miguel was eliminated, even though like the camera did not see all of it. 15 was the hometown man, who got a pretty good pop out there, by the way. They really going well with this hometown man thing. Like, crowd really does follow behind this, so I can't lie, it's not getting over. It's silly, but it's getting over. I know you got like the Boston Celtics jersey out there, so that got a pop from the crowd. 16 was Zach Clayton. I never heard of him, but he had a little Guido Nunzio, so I guess they got a new version of the FBI in the end. Danny Luna ended up eliminating Rosemary, I believe, and then like Danny Luna was eliminated right after, if I'm not mistaken. Or was she still in the ring? All I know was like 17 was Jody Threat, but then next thing you know, Kazarian ended up clotheslining Jody Threat and taking her spot. So now Kazarian ended up getting in the match then, and ended up like pie facing Santino. And then 18 was actually Santino Morella then, which everybody looked surprised. And then Kazarian just kind of leaned through the ropes and started arguing with like Guido then, but then Santino ended up pulling out the Cobra then, hitting Kazarian with the Cobra, and then he ended up falling to the floor. So he wasn't eliminated yet, folks. He didn't go through the top rope. He went through like the middle rope. And then Santino got in the ring. He took his time. He got one foot in. He got the other foot in the ring. And just like the Royal Rumble 2009, he immediately got clotheslined by Nick Nemeth. So does this beat his record of 1 second being eliminated? And he did the whole, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. So yeah, Santino, a little bit of a call back there from years ago. So yeah, he was in and he was out. 19 was Matt Cardona, who got a pretty good pop out there. He ended up eliminating Clayton. Zach Clayton out there, and then he got little Guido and threw him over the rope then too, so they were gone. 20 was Mance Warner, who came out with a lot of like zombies for some reason in their entrance. Eric Young had him kicking an hometown man like in the nuts before throwing him out of the ring. Then Cardona ended up taking out Eric Young right after. And then Cardona ended up taking out Mance Warner. I think Warner had like a chair, he had like maybe 2 chair shots on somebody before he was eliminated. So then Matt Cardona was in the ring with both the Nemeths. Then after that, Nick ended up kicking out his own brother off the apron, so it was just Nick Nemeth and Cardona. But then Cardona tried to throw Nick Nemeth out of the ring, but he skinned the cat, got back in the ring then as Cardona was about to run the ropes. Stephanie Lander ended up grabbing his foot. And then Mance Warner, and they end up pulling him out of the ring. And so even though they're already eliminated, they end up just eliminating Matt Cardona just like that. So I guess that's going to be a feud now. But as Nick thought he won, it ended up being Kazarian, who, like I said, who fell through the middle rope then. And now it's a final 2, so it was a regular match then. And they end up doing like a suplex, which it led to a double pin. So Santino had to figure out what to do because we don't know who it won. And then, like he said, for the first time in history, there will be 2 winners of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet Battle Royale. And then the fans started booing and chanting bullshit right after. They even started chanting Hometown Man. I thought the fans was pretty fucking stupid, though, in a way. Like, why do we need a double winner, though? So you can't really get mad at the fans for having that type of finish. I thought they could have just, give like another 5 minutes or sudden death rules or something. So now I feel like they're just gonna have this thing where, like Nick and Kazarian, since Kazarian has won this before, they're gonna have to fight over this trophy and see what type of title shot, or which we'll get into that later on. But it's gonna lead to a lot of silly stuff, honestly. With both of them, like, well, I want this title, or I want that title, or we both want the world title, or it's going to lead to something silly or some type of oddball team between both of these two. Maybe they even become the tag champions. I don't know. But the fans was not with the finish. It was some bullshit. I will agree with that. Right after that, then, we had Kalani Jordan versus Indy Hartwell for the TNA Knockouts Championship right after. Indy Hartwell, I know she ended up flying her family from Australia for this match. The whole thing with this match, and listen, we all know why Kalani Jordan's the champion right now. I know I've already explained this in a different review video, given what happened back at Victory Road. Ash by Elegance had to give up the title due to whatever type of injury or whatever's going on with her right now. They had to get a new champion that night, and Kalani Jordan, which I've already questioned, why did they need to put the belt on somebody from NXT again, which, listen, given the circumstances, I kind of understand to some extent, but why do we need to do this? So I just kind of felt, looking at this match, it wasn't bad. I feel like the crowd was pretty dead for it, and I don't feel like I remember a lot from this match. I kind of figured Indy would at least win the title back, given like she already won a title shot, and it's like, okay, Kalani's obviously a transitional champion, but no, this wasn't the case. Because, Indy tried to do her Hurts Donut move, and Kalani Jordan ended up, dodging, the her top rope elbow after that, and then, did her, one-of-a-kind moonsault for the win. Man, I sat there and I watched this, and listen, I've already came on here and explained this multiple times when it comes to this quote-unquote partnership, and I use the words quote-unquote for a reason. I guess you're going to see Kalani Jordan. I know they shook hands right after. I actually thought Indy was going to attack her right after. But I think I may have said this last time. That tells you the state of the Knockouts division right now. I think I even said that during that damn Showdown show. That tells you the state of it, that nobody's really built up right now, that they have to put the belt on another NXT person again, which is just insane, honestly. Which, listen, like I said before, given the circumstances, I can somewhat kind of see this to an extent why it happened, but I've kind of figured that Indy would at least get the belt back on the show then. But obviously now I don't know where Indy Hartwell goes. I don't know if it's gonna make her snap now or something like that, but I guess they're gonna keep Kalani Jordan around, for a minute then, and TNA with the Knockout Championship, which, like I said, I still feel like it's random in a way, and even I think I said this before. You look at that team they did back at that Showdown show. I said this isn't even really a team. It's like it was mostly just a whole bunch of former WWE people, really. Like you got one currently that's in WWE for NXT. You got one that won't even let go from the company for like what 2-3 months ago at that point. And listen, I know the Iconics Inspiration have been gone for a while from WWE, but a lot of people still kind of somewhat not associate with them, but it's like, dude, we know they were before. It's not like they had any original knockouts out there, or like that's part of the current roster back at that Invasion show. It's just right here. I kind of expected Indy to win, but I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy. I'm gonna put it that maybe this is heat or something. Like, let's have her fly our whole family out here just to see her lose. So crazy when you think about it. Um, Next, though, we're gonna go into the hardcore war match, and this is why I feel like the show is really getting great at this point. Then, I was really enjoying it, and the crowd was with it too. Like I said, it was the System versus Order 4. The System comprising of Moose, Alicia Edwards, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, JDC versus Order 4, Mustafa Ali, Tosh Steels, Jason Hodge, John Schuyler, and Agent Zero. The first two people to actually start off this match was I'm trying to actually see because like I said, I'm trying to see who went one by one in this match, honestly, because like it's a lot to call out here within this. So, like I said, the hardcore war, like I said, it's like every 2 minutes. They even have a clock, I believe. So I feel like everybody was out here like either by 1 minute or 2 minute thing. But like I said, everybody brought in a weapon of their choice. I know Jason Hodge and Eddie Edwards started off. Eddie actually being from Boston and everything got a pretty good pop out there. Even having like the Boston Red Sox mascot. I know the fans was chanting Yankees suck out there. Then after that, they were chanting that throughout half the match. Um, like I said, both of them started off the match. Then right after, I think it was what John Schuyler came. Yeah, John Schuyler. Yeah, why I feel like say Jason Hodge, John Schuyler. I feel like I'm getting the names wrong right here, but yeah, he was out there right after that. JDC came out there then. I know they had like trash cans within the ring right after. Even had a cheese grater where John Schuyler's head got sliced, where he was really bleeding all over the place. So he definitely was bleeding. Next was Tasha Steelz, who had a New York Yankees jersey on, with fans chanting Yankees sucked in right after, and like beating people with his kendo stick. Alicia Edwards came out then, going after Tasha Steelz then, even having a staple gun, like, the stapling the Order 4 members and everything. Agent Zero, I believe, was next, and he's just tossing everybody all over the place, throwing them around. Myers, I think, tried to come with a trash can lid, but, Zero just no-sold it and just threw him somewhere then. So like I said, he's just throwing everybody around all over the place. So like I said, Order 4 just getting the advantage, beating the hell out of everybody at this point. Mustafa Ali came out then with like a sledgehammer, if I'm not mistaken. They even like hit Eddie Edwards in the back with a chair. So like I said, they're just holding Alicia Edwards back, and all of the system and getting the crap kicked out of them. Moose, I believe, was the final entrant in all of this. Moose came out with like a chain on his shoulder. Then he's clearing the ring. Him and Agent Zero are going at it. Like, so you're not even knocking Agent Zero down that much. So like I said, they really make Agent Zero look strong out here. I know Moose ended up in a dive onto Zero, which everybody's on the ground then. So like I said, everybody's just kind of diving with outside the ring then, so everybody's down. Alicia ended up coming in with like thumbtacks, which I, to be honest, like when it comes to thumbtacks and wrestling, me at this point, I'm just sick of seeing thumbtacks for some reason, because I see it so much in wrestling. I'm sure there's someone gonna say it's mostly in AEW, but I don't know why. I just get tired of seeing thumbtacks all the time. And then like Alicia's got like she's got the thumbtacks in the ring and stuff, and spreading them, kind of going after Tasha and all that. I think did she slam her into the thumbtacks? I'm not even sure, but all those at Agent Zero. No, yeah, because Tasha had like what was it, like a barbed wire kendo stick, but she got hit with the kendo stick and even onto the tacks. But then Agent Zero ended up doing a big choke bomb to Alicia Edwards, which you gotta say makes her like a badass here, getting slammed into the thumbtacks then, which looked pretty painful. Eddie tried to check on his wife then, but everybody's just hitting each other with weapons at this point. and they trying to go after Agent Zero with sticks and stuff, but he's just shrugging them off and knocking them back. Moose ended up coming back with a spear with a chain around his shoulder. Like, he hit a spear and then did it again with a chain around his shoulder, banging up his own shoulder, but it actually took down Agent Zero. I know Myers and like JDC, they ended up diving onto the outside into the great handstand, but Mustafa Ali came in with like more thumbtacks, poured it all over Lish and went for a 450, but she got out of the way. Mustafa Ali just went into the thumbtacks, which was crazy. And then Eddie Edwards like put a barbed wire thing around his knee and did his Boston knee party for the finish. So the system ended up beating the Order 4. I think this was actually great. This is a crazy match right here. I will say that. I think it was enjoyable, and a lot of people were just going out there nuts with it. I wasn't really sure about Mustafa Ali like taking the pinfall here, but given how this feud is going, it's like, okay, they pinned the leader and all that stuff. I thought somebody else would have been pinned, but I guess be more satisfying if Mustafa was actually pinned, and Eddie getting like the win in his hometown was pretty cool too. I know they weren't really going to pin Agent Zero because they're making him look as strong as possible. So I don't know what's going to happen next with the Order 4 out there or where they're going to go. I still feel like Mustafa Ali should be going for the world title now at this point, given what they've been doing with him lately. They were making him look strong, but after just losing to the system in this hardcore war, I got to say it's a hell of a match out there. But we're going to see what happens next with all these guys, man. But it was good. I definitely enjoyed this match. Next, listen, I'm going to say this right now. I wanted to call this the match of the night until the finish. And I'm going to have two ways of looking at this. And I'm sure everybody was looking forward to this match. I call this the mirror match right here. Leon Slater versus Javon Evans for the X Division title. And both of these guys got a standing ovation before the match even started, okay? So it's going to be crazy to call everything in this because, like I said, you're going to see a lot of high flying and stuff, or some are obviously going to call this a spot fest, but they had the crowd rocking with this one, okay? The crowd was going nuts for it. Like I said, I know it's a lot of super kicks here and there and stuff, a lot of slingshot DDTs. What was it, like, I think Evans came like the second rope and like a cutter in, which Bowden tried to do a cutter, but still like a near fall and stuff, because Evans hit a frog splash, still like a 2 count. Fans chant, "This is awesome." Slater ended up grabbing like Evans' foot, like trying to chop him several times, and I know they kept kind of chopping back and forth, and Slater said like, "Come on, like let's do it." But Javon Evans, like, he was kind of setting him up for like a chop, but he just ended up hitting like a cutter and then like another cutter, but still it was a 2 count then. I know he tried to go for another cutter, but like Evans hit him like a big neck breaker then, like going to the ground, which was pretty crazy. I'm trying to see what else happened. I said it's a lot of crazy stuff. Like Slater, I know they going to the floor then. I know they were at the top rope at first, but they ended up both falling off the top rope. And then it's like they start punching each other to the outside then. Slater went over the guardrail, I know that, and Evans like dove into him to the outside of the guardrail into the crowd. But then like Slater then like he came back and dove into him back inside the ring then. So as the match was going, next thing you know, the time limit expired then, because it was only 20 minutes within this match. Okay, it was only 20 minutes. So fans was chanting 5 more minutes then and let them fight and stuff. So we thinking like the match is over and all that. But then next you know, Santino came out and he got cheered then. And he says, look, we have very strict pay-per-view time limit, but if the fans want 5 more minutes, we're going to give it 5 more minutes. The fans start going nuts then for it. Like I said, Evans did like a knee on to Slater for like a near fall in. I know he went for the springboard cutter once again, but Slater ended up like catching him then, and like I think it was like a neck breaker or something, but he caught him then for a 2 count. I know they were like doing some Spanish fly off the top rope. That was pretty crazy. Another 2 count, and then Slater, I know he tried to roll up Evans. That didn't work. Slater tried to, I know he went onto the ropes then. Like I think after the no, it was after the Spanish fly, the lights went out, and then for some reason they have to have Dark State come out there, which the fans chanted "fuck these guys" then after it was basically a no contest. And I don't know what, like, in my opinion, I don't think there was no need for this. And like I said, I'm going to look at this in 2 ways. One hand, I think this. Why did we need a no contest for this? I'm sorry. This wasn't no TV match or like a plus show. This is TNA's biggest show of the year. Okay, I think they could have had a decisive finish right here and even have Slater go over. I'm sure gonna say it could have went either way and whatnot, but I think the finish was bullshit. And it's like, why are we setting up an angle on pay-per-view? Like, why are we doing this? And I know they're gonna run this back. I know they're gonna run this back. It's an angle, but do we really need to see them in an angle against Dark State? And listen, I know this match wasn't made that long ago and stuff, and I know a lot of people gonna wonder who can really lose right here. You don't want Leon Slater to lose because he just won the X Division title back at Slammiversary a couple months ago, and they've really been, putting him as like the future of the X Division and making him a big deal. And I know what Javon Evans has been doing on NXT right now, and even being on SmackDown a couple times, so they already kind of making him a big deal. But I'll say this right now, and I hope I'm wrong when I say this. I hope this doesn't come to a thing where they're gonna run this match again, right? And it's gonna be like on some NXT show or something, and then have like, I don't think Javon Evans gonna win, but I hope it's not one of these things where it's like we can't beat the WWE guy on TNA, so we had to come up with this screwy bullshit finish. So, like I said, the match will be ran back, and I don't know when. Maybe it will be a Genesis for all I know. I like when the next big pay-per-view comes around. But I felt like it could have been a decisive finish, but I think the finish was bullshit. Like me personally, I thought it was fucking stupid. Okay, this was the big, like I said, this is the company's biggest show of the year. Why are we doing some random ass bullshit finish here? So, like I said, it'll be ran back an angle, and I'm sure some, like I said, both these guys can't lose right now. But I'm sorry, this is fucking TNA's pay per view right now. Okay, so like they could have had Slater go over, but I'm sure people are gonna wonder what's next or who his next opponent will be. Well, find him his next opponent then, okay? I don't know. Whoever that will be. But like I said, this will be back at a later point in time. But I thought the Dark State stuff was just, I just rolled my eyes. Like I said, I really wanted to call this the best match of the night. I really did. But I can't say that just due to the finish. Chris Bay came out there. It was good to see Chris Bay again, returning back. We haven't seen him in a while since like Unbreakable. And basically, I guess he told like, how much the attendance was tonight. I actually thought he was I don't know when he's ever gonna come back. So I don't really want to kind of guess that, given, from his the injury that's had him out for over a year now at this point, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just good to see the man walking again. I actually kind of thought he was going to say he's going to be coming back to the ring, but like I said, I don't know when we'll ever see that again. So I don't know, but it's just good to see Chris Bay just around in general. Next, we had a tables match, which I wouldn't even really call this a tables match, honestly. But this was for the TNA and NXT tag team titles. The Hardys versus Team 3D one last time. Okay? So, like I said, Team 3D came out. Bully Ray and Brother Devon. They, like I said, they got a big pop out there. They kind of like the camouflage. They had the camouflage gear on and stuff. Next thing you know, they even had Brother Runt come out, who got a pretty good pop. Spike Dudley, which he didn't really do anything. He was just there to kind of hug them and got a pop, and that was it. So that was pretty cool to see. Even put the glasses on him and everything and stuff. I know Devon like took off the glass and gave it to his family. Fans chanted ECW then right after. Next thing you know, the Hardys came out. They got a big pop then right after. And they brought out a ladder and a chair. So, listen, this wasn't even a tables match. This was basically a TLC match, okay? Or a Full Metal Mayhem match for TNA standards, instead of calling it TLC. But this basically what this was. It was a Full Metal Mayhem. And I guess the way this match works is like this. You have to get both of your opponents through the table to win the match, which I kind of thought, like, once one person goes through the table, wouldn't that person be out of the match then? But it did not work like that. So, basically, like I said, both teams in the ring then, and, they get this big introduction, which, talking about all their accolades, like I said, the Dudleys and stuff, being former WWE, ECW, WCW, IWGP tag teams. Yeah, like I said, they probably one of the most decorated tag teams in history. I'm not going to go through all their title wins and stuff, but like I said, they got holy shit chance then. So they had their whole big entrance and stuff. And then the Hardys talking about their tag title reigns, WWE, Ring of Honor, TNA, now NXT. Like I said, I could sit here and talk about their tag team titles and accolades all day, okay? But I'm not gonna go into that right now. Like I said, all these guys are, well, 3 out of the 4 of these guys are all former world champions also. So like I said, this set up the big fight feel for this match. Fans was already chanting tables. I know Bully Ray ended up throwing Jeff to ringside, which him and Devon immediately hit a 3D on Matt Hardy then. So they hit a 3D on him. They do the what's up spot and everything onto Jeff then right after. And then, the 1, 2, 3 thing, get the tables right after. After that, they got tables in the ring then. They set them up. They 3D Jeff through a table right after that. So they did that then. Nat then, he came back with like a chair, hitting both of them with it then. And I know he tried to. And then Matt went through a table. Like I said, like they he started hitting him with a chair then. I know it was like a table in the corner, which Bully Ray tried to charge in Matt Hardy, but he ended up going into the table. He didn't break the table into the corner, but he just like ran into the table then. And then like Devon and Jeff fought to the aisleway and stuff. So they're kind of trying to recreate the whole Madison Square Garden or Mania SummerSlam thing with Jeff jumping off the ladder onto like Devon then. So like I said, they end up doing that. Right, like I said, Bully Ray hit the table. I know Devon ended up hitting Jeff with a chair then. He tried to put him onto the tables then. But Matt came for the save then. They put Devon onto like the 2 tables right there. Jeff ended up climbing the ladder, obviously. Did a huge swanton bomb and looked like he hit the back of his head on one of the ladder rungs. But he was back up right after, so somebody said it best. When it comes to Jeff Hardy or Darby Allin, these guys can take the most craziest bumps in the world and somehow they get up like nothing happened and still finish the match. So, like I said, Jeff did this last year at Bound for Glory when he did a swanton from the ladder and hit his head on the back of like one of the ladder rungs. So, pretty scary stuff, I will say that. But yeah, Jeff, he was back up like maybe a minute later and back into the match then. So, I expected him to do something crazy. He got up and he kept it going. And then they got in the ring with Bully Ray, and he hit like a twist of fate on him a couple times. Hit the swanton bomb on him right after. And then they started hitting multiple chairs on the Bully Ray's back end. Bully saw a table right there, and he got up to his feet. And then he just looked at the Hardys then, and then they put the chairs down, and Bully basically he just accepted his fate and just went through the table. And the Hardys still retain the TNA and NXT tag titles. And then, they keep sending the Silver Dude. Which, can let me just say something about him real quick. I swear this guy looks so stone-faced out there. Listen, I get it. He's just part of the business thing. But I swear to God, this guy either looks soulless or he looks defeated. Or I think I've called him a bitch half the time already. Just like the way he's just kind of getting punked out. I know this wasn't one of these things where it's just like, it's almost like he has to just give it to the NXT person, the TNA tag title, and that shows some type of emotion or anger and stuff. But I swear this guy just looks dead. Like I said, I know he's not like a character on the show or anything, but I don't know. Just something about him doing that is just, I don't know, man. He just looks emotionless. Like, say what you want about Scott D'Amore, but man, at least he showed some fire out there. But then again, the Scott D'Amore was like wrestler out there. Like, this guy's just more business and everything. But like I said, the Hardys, they retain the titles. And, the Dudleys, Team 3D, end up getting up then. Yo, Devon made it back to the ring, folks. I will say that. And the fans chanted, thank you, Dudleys, then. The Hardys held up the titles and all that stuff, facing Team 3D. And, they hugged and all that stuff. But then, they took off their boots then and gave it to the Hardys. Basically, I'm saying, you're the greatest tag team now. And, they just walked to the back then. So, I guess, as in for, Team 3D, I think the team is over. I like Bully Ray just kind of sporadically still wrestles. Devon, honestly, we haven't really seen him wrestle since the 1000th episode of TNA, and that was 2 years ago. I think we saw them do it. Cause I know Devon's had health problems, so I knew he couldn't even wrestle for a while now. Like I said, he's been out of the ring for a long time. So I always wonder how he was really gonna do it in this match. I'm like, he can still do this, right? And listen, this was just them hitting their signature moves out there, so I wasn't really expecting some type of big match that they had years ago and stuff, but it was going to be a lot of crazy big spots out there, and that's what we saw, okay? That's basically what we saw, was just a lot of crazy stuff throughout this entire match. Like I said, tables, ladders, chairs, and stuff. Like I said, I'm not surprised the Hardys won here, but I guess like Team 3D, like I don't know if like both of their careers over like that, but maybe as a tag team, I think it's done. So like I said, Devon, he got to come back one more time and do this. Like I said, Bully Ray's still around, but like I said, the Hardys are still current active competitors right now, which I see they've been winning tag titles from different places too. So I guess that expedition of gold is not over, but this was still a cool moment, especially like if you're a fan of both of these guys. I'm sure like a lot of people are fans of both of these teams anyways. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wondering, they wish Edge and Christian could be part of this too, but like I said, we know they're in AEW right now, so we know that's not happening. But like I said, they went out strong and crazy and having a car crash of a match as much as they could and try to somewhat recreate years ago and stuff. So it was cool to see the Hardys versus Team 3D one last time. So that was pretty cool to see. Now we actually get to the main event. I know they announced that Genesis will be in Dallas, Texas. Mike Santana made his entrance as the main event was Mike Santana versus Trick Williams for the TNA World Championship. Santana came through the crowd, got a big pop. Conan and him hugged in. He's got the Puerto Rican flag. He's going to hug his daughter and everything. Trick Williams was out there next. And as they're going to do the introduction and stuff, which I know some people, I've had this debate with my friend, is Mike Santana really the guy, someone, or is Trick still really that more over? And I really was listening to the crowd chants in this match. The fans were with Santana, but I'm not going to lie. I did hear like more whoop that Trick chance to be louder than Santana. I'm not saying the crowd wasn't with the Santana, but it does kind of make you wonder in a way, because me and my friend kind of go back and forth. He doesn't believe Santana is the guy. I think he is. And they've been really building Santana up. They've been building him for months, almost ever since he came back to this company. So I figured he had to win it Bound for Glory anyways. I've been saying that for months now to get the huge win and stuff. I still would have liked it better when it was in New York because he's from New York and everything. It's anniversary, but given it was a triple threat, I knew that wasn't going to happen. So I figured it had to be one-on-one. And then like I said, when they were doing the introductions, Trick Williams took the mic and said that the Boston, like, about to beat your ass just like the Boston Red Sox, which basically got heat. And then Santana just started charging at him then. They start throwing punches and stuff, going to the outside of the floor. Like I said, the match hasn't even started yet, but they battle over the barricade into the crowd and stuff then. Santana ended up, just throwing him back over the apron then. Trick ended up hitting him with the title belt and then throwing him back into the ring then, which ring the bell, which Santana said, do it, ring the damn bell. Trick just started going out with several punches then and stuff. Fans started chanting new champ. Santana ended up coming back at Trick then, dumping him over the rope. I know, jumping to the outside of the ring, but Trick threw him into to the ring post. I know he was bleeding at some point through his forehead then right after. Trick starts slamming Santana to the floor then, and he's just throwing, almost trying to hit him with ring steps, but Santana got out of the way. He ran back towards Trick, but Trick backdropped him then onto the ring steps, which looked pretty brutal. Santana, he beat the count and got back in the ring then. Trick started going, keeping the offensive on him then. Even, going towards his kid, saying, who's your daddy now? Which, Santana's kid, his daughter ended up, slapping him then. Santana ended up I think jumped out of the ring at that point, cannonballing him and stuff. And he came back in, hit a power bomb for a near fall. Did a 450 splash also for a near fall, which looked pretty crazy. Trick came back with several Uranagis then, and it looked like he was gonna get one off the rope, but Santana cut him off then right after. But he ended up hitting another Uranagi from the middle rope. Still a kick out. Trick then he took the title then. He was he was gonna take the DQ and stuff. But as he's winding the title up, Santana ended up trying to roll him up for the count, but it still didn't work. He ended up hitting the spin the block, but still a 2 count then, and they just kind of charging back and forth, trying to hit finishes and all that stuff, see who's going to hit it better. But I know they even had the fake lawyer or something get involved. I didn't know who this guy was. I guess he's Trick's fake lawyer, but he got involved in the match, but he had hit with the spin the block. Trick came back with the trick shot then and got a near fall. Santana ended up avoiding another trick shot then and ended up hitting 2 more spin the blocks for the win. And Santana is now finally the new TNA world heavyweight champion, and got a pretty good pop out there, like pretty big pop. I don't know, but I feel like the last 3 matches got bigger pops than like the world title, but it was still a big reaction. And as Santana was about to get the title in, next thing you know, Nick Nimitz music hit. I guess he was about to cash in the Call Your Shot gauntlet trophy thing, but then the lights went out. And then Elijah, who returned, we haven't seen him in much due to injury, ended up slamming a guitar over Nick Nimitz's head, so he was out of the equation. And then Frankie Kazarian looked like he was going to cash in, but here's the thing, the trophy's over there, so he couldn't do nothing about it. Santana ended up hitting him with like the spin the blocks. I don't know why they even tried to tease some type of cash in. So, which I said earlier in this review, I figured it's going to be these things where they're going to try to cash in one way or another, but they got to somehow do it together and both try to get the title or something. So it's already making things kind of screwy as it is out there with just like the whole weird ending and stuff. But Santana ended up like, win the title, even letting his daughter hold the title, hugged her and celebrated, holding up the Puerto Rican flag and everything to close the show. So it was satisfying. I'm sure everybody's been waiting on this for months, given that, TNA finally got their world championship back on their show from Trick Williams and stuff. I know I've had a lot of thoughts to say about it, but I figure it's like if Santana did not win this year, I don't know what to say. I would have even tried to say, like, what is this, WWE just bitching these guys around now or something, if that was the case. But Santana had to win the title here on their biggest show of the year. So he had to win it here. He had to. But honestly, I enjoyed this show. I wish there was a little bit better build kind of going into Bound for Glory. I felt like they tried to focus a little bit more on the whole invasion thing than Bound for Glory to some extent. But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the Hardcore War. I did enjoy Slater and Evans before the stupid finish. And I did enjoy Team 3D and the Hardys, obviously. And I thought the main event was pretty good, too. The Call Your Shot gauntlet thing, which is just scurry now due to the whole finish with the 2-winner thing, was just kind of dumb. Kalani and Indy, I don't know where they go on with that next. I really don't. And I feel like the crowd was kind of dead a little after the whole Call Your Shot gauntlet thing also. Yeah, like I said, like I'm just kind of just naming like the stuff I liked and didn't like on the show. But like I said, I feel like once the Hardcore War match happened, that's when I was really liking a lot of the show, and the crowd was definitely with it too. So like I said, I did enjoy Bound for Glory. I still think it was a pretty good, solid show out there. It had a lot of great stuff going on, but the whole Call Your Shot gauntlet thing, still, that was just like, it's just kind of convoluted and now overbooked, and now, both Kazarian and Nemeth kind of look silly out there, both trying to cash in, somehow get the world title. But like I said, the important thing is that Santana got his, his crowning moment here as the world champion and everything now. So we'll see what happens next with Mike Santana and where this is going to lead to. That now TNA has finally got their world title back on the show. So we'll see what happens next. I don't know. But other than that, man, yeah, it's been a lot of wrestling going around this entire weekend. So we'll see what happens next. But other than that, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at HoodieKnight890. Tell me what you think about Bound for Glory. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What are your favorite moments from this show? Hit that like button. Hit that notification bell. And we are out of here. I will see y'all then. Peace out.